Stephen, where are you? Come on up, buddy.
If you don't, I hope no one here suffers from depression, but if you don't, and you don't know anyone who does, it might be a difficult thing to grasp or to empathize with. Depression is a very real thing. It is an illness. It is suffocating. It consumes you and traps you and prevents you from caring about, well, anything. It keeps you from getting out of your bed in the morning. It prevents you from asking that person out on a date. It stops you from trying to get a job promotion. It's just a crippling, horrible, horrible thing. It makes you feel like the world doesn't care about you, and then why should you care? So I have been diagnosed with depression, and it's something I deal with all the time, and I'm doing fine, first off. But there's something that sometimes things get dark, and I have to remind myself of something, and I tell myself this thing, and it gets me out of bed. You know, it gets me moving. It pushes me a little bit when I need a little motivation. When I was 18, maybe the darkest year of my life, that 17 to 18 year, I didn't have many friends. I couldn't play sports. I wasn't an academic. I really had no kind of skills that the world, I thought at the time, valued. My family didn't seem to care, and why should I? I hated my stepfather, and when I say hate, what I mean is a 10-minute story is not enough time to describe to you how much I despised that man when I was 17, 18. I couldn't stand him. And I knew then that, he felt the same way. He had to. Well, I turned 18. My birthday was a week before Christmas Eve, and I don't know, something came over me, and I thought, this is it. I'm checking out. I'm done. And I went for a walk into the night, and I don't remember if it was on my birthday or if it was Christmas Eve or just somewhere in that week. That part of my memory is kind of a blur. I don't remember the exact day. But I remember walking out into the night, and the snow was crunchy, and I made it to this train track that I was familiar with in my neighborhood, and then I just sat down. I could feel that cold rail against my thigh, and I thought, I'm just gonna sit here till it's done. That way I don't have to, I felt like I didn't have the nerve to do it myself. I'll let the train do it. Something came over me. I don't know what it was. It was Catholic guilt. I'm a Catholic. I don't know. Maybe that was it, or maybe I was thinking about the poor engineer. He wouldn't be able to stop the train, and that would scar that man or woman. And I thought about my mother, and I thought about a friend that I had, and I thought it would be a disservice to them. It would hurt them, and I didn't want to hurt them, despite the fact that I thought the world just hated me, and I didn't like it either. So that Christmas was a very dark Christmas for me. Every day I thought about taking my own life. Every day that Christmas, when I would grab a knife or walk across a bridge, it was very difficult for me. It was just like this thing just whispering, like pushing me, like just give up. And on a New Year's Eve, I was running an errand. I was driving my stepfather's Aerostar minivan, top heavy, silver and blue, and I was trying to get somewhere else very quickly. I was in a hurry. I had things to do, I guess. I don't know. I was a teenager behind the wheel of a car, so I was speeding, and I was a little distracted. I was changing out my cassette tapes. I couldn't remember what side the song is. It on this side or is it this side? Because when you hit the button and it flips it over, it's like I don't know which is which. And I'm looking at it. I got the cassette, and like one side of the cassette is I think Oingo Boingo, and the other side Paganini. I was angsty, but I had class. I was emo before emo. So I was emo hipster. So anyway, I was distracted with the cassette tapes. It started to rain. That is the most dangerous time to be on the road, is when the rain starts. Because when those drops of rain hit the asphalt, right? All those the little iridescent bits of petroleum and grease and everything just rise to the surface. They don't wash away immediately. They just sit there. They will wash away, but they sit there. It's very dangerous. And I'm not thinking about that. I'm just clickety-clack with one eye on the road in a hurry, and I try to pass a car, accelerate to pass the car, and the tail end of the minivan spins. I can't redirect it. I can't correct the fishtail because I'm hydroplaning now, and it's just spinning uncontrollably. It goes off the road. There's a little ditch. It does a kind of a flip and a barrel roll. It was a very wild, crazy action. It went right between a tree and a signpost, right in between them, just like it was like a 7-10 split. It was amazing. Just and then it crashed upside down. Finally, when it stopped moving, it was upside down. All of the windows were intact and rolled up, save for one window. One window was completely shattered. It was the driver's side window, completely shattered. So it was an easy way to get out. I was upside down. My right hand, like it had a mind of its own, turned off the ignition very calmly, unbuckled my seatbelt. My head hit the ground and the ceiling at the same time, which is a wild kind of thing to happen. I crawled through the broken glass and the mud in shock. The police showed up. My stepfather showed up, and I thought, here we go, because that's one of his prized possessions, and it's destroyed. And I was ready for a conflict. And my stepdad, he didn't give a damn about that van. He just wanted to make sure I was safe. He wanted to get me to med check as quickly as possible for any unseen injuries. I was fine. The next day, New Year's Day, I felt like a new man. And my stepdad and my mother and the police officer and the people who knew about the accident said it was a miracle. It flew off the road between those two things, and he got out of it without a scratch. He crawled through the glass, not a bruise. It's a miracle. And I agreed, it's a miracle. But that's not the miracle. Something else happened during that car accident. A couple things happened. One thing that was that the car accident was a catalyst for was the bond between my stepfather and myself. After that day, I knew that he cared about me. I care about him, even if we still don't talk very much, unless we're playing euchre. And table talking is not a... Anyway, that's a side note. The other thing that happened, that's the miraculous part. When that van was flipping and spinning, it was like I was in zero gravity, and everything just slowed down. Everything was like the objects in the van were floating in front of me, like I could touch them, but I couldn't move because my hands were on that wheel. But there's a cassette tape of, I think it was Danny Elfman's soundtrack to Nightbreed, floating there. I'm holding on to that wheel so tight, it was like my knuckles were going to burst through the skin of my hand, and I just kept repeating to myself, I don't want to die, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. And what happened, I'm not asking you to believe me literally, and if you want to mock me to make yourself feel better, it's fine. This is a personal experience that I had, and I'm not claiming that it was a literally true thing, but it happened to me. This is what I remember happening. I'm clutching the wheel. Everything's out of control. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. And I heard a voice as clear as day, not a small whispery voice, not something in my gut, not a warning like we've been hearing about all night. This one was an alarm. It was a loud voice. I cannot do an impression of the voice. I don't know how. I knew in my heart that it was the voice of God. You don't have to believe that. It's fine. But I believed it. And I don't want to die. I don't want to die. And that voice said to me, are you sure? And for a moment, I thought I had a choice. Like, I could say, yeah, you know what, you're right. Just do it now, and then I can, that way I don't have to. But no, that's not. That was the only thing that I heard. Are you sure? So to this day, when I can't get up out of bed and I don't have the nerve to do something, I'm feeling down about myself, or I just don't feel loved by the world, or whatever it is, I just say what I said to that voice in that car that night. And I said, as loud as I could in a spinning, flipping Aerostar minivan, I want to live. I want to live. Also, I should note I'm a stand-up comedian, and I really am funny. You can see me at the Alley Cat front room on Sunday night.